Right. Right. Okay. Sorry, there was a technical error. So we will start the lecture now. Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Introduction. Legislation to ensure safety and health. Uh, right. Uh, Legislation to ensure safety and health of workers in Sri Lanka was first introduced in 1942 with the enactment of the Factories Ordinance number 45. So that was the legislation to ensure safety regarding the factory safety and health. This ordinance was revised by the Factories Amendment Act number 54 of 1961 and again Factories Amendment Law number 12 of 1976. Later in 1961 and 76 that was revised in two occasions. Then after that also this Factories Ordinance was revised in several occasions. Later it was amended again. This lecture covers some important aspects of Factories Ordinance. It should be read in conjunction with the Factories Ordinance and related regulations issued from time to time. Scope. As the title suggests, this law given coverage only to factory workers. Workers in other establishments such as shops, offices, etc. are excluded. This manifests as an injustice to non-factory workers since safety and health is as vital to them. This injustice has been rectified in many other countries by extending the coverage to all employees except perhaps to domestic servants in private employment. The law applies to factories belonging to private, public and corporation sectors. We will see the definition of the term factory. The Factories Ordinance defines the term factory differently to the common man's concept of a factory. In terms of the definition, the following conditions have to be fulfilled for an establishment to be legally considered as a factory. So there's a definition introduced by the Factories Ordinance. So it defines the term factory. Number one, it should be situated in a premises. Number two, persons or at least one person should be employed. Then number three, in manual labor. Number four, for making of an article or part of an article or altering, repairing, ornamenting, finishing, cleaning or washing, or even breaking up or demolition, or adapting for sale of any article. So it gives clear identification for making of an article, part of an article, altering, repairing, ornamenting, finishing, cleaning or washing, or breaking up or demolition, or adapting for sale of any article. Number five, work should be carried out by way of trade or for purpose of gain. So there should be a purpose of trade or for purpose of gain. Number six, the employer should have the right of access to and or control of the premises. The owner or the organization should have the access to and or control, and he should have the control of the premises of the factory. In addition to above, the following are some of the premises which are deemed to be factories under the law, although they do not conform to the above definition. There are some special cases as mentioned below. So we will see what are the conditions. A. Any yard or dry dock in which ships or vessels are constructed, reconstructed, repaired, refitted, finished, or broken down. So this is another definition. Number 2B, any laundry carried on as an ancillary to another business or public institution. So any laundry which carries as an ancillary work to another business or public organization. Number C, these are some special conditions. Any premises which where making or mending of nets is carried out incidental to fish industry. So that place is also covered as a factory. D, any premises used for storage of gas in a gas holder having a capacity of not less than 5,000 cubic feet. Then E, certain building and other construction works. We will see the purpose of this law, the Factories Ordinance. The purpose of the law is to provide safety, health, and welfare to persons employed in premises to which the law applies. So earlier I mentioned the conditions of a factory. So this purpose of the law is to provide safety, health, and welfare. Safety means the provision of an accident-free working environment. So that is the important one. Safety means the provision of an accident-free working environment. Then health means the prevention among works of disability and disease arising out of environmental factors. As engineers, you see there are so many diseases may arise from the environmental factors. So we have to prevent such uh, diseases from environmental factors. Processes and materials used. Then welfare refers to the provision of minimum facilities such as toilets, drinking water, washing facilities, and meal room to workers. Later, I will explain all these things in later. Important safety requirements. There are certain requirements which are very essential things. Now, that is guarding of factory machinery. occupies an important place among safety requirements. 3 sections of the ordinance are devoted for this purpose. There are 3 important sections under the Factories Ordinance, that is section 17, 18 and 19. So we will see what are the conditions to be satisfied. Number 1, section 17. It is required that all moving parts of the prime mover, you know what is prime mover? The source that provides the movement, that is the prime mover, should be securely fenced. That is, it should be guarded. That is the section 17 under the Factories Ordinance. It says the all moving parts of the prime mover should be securely fenced. Then section 18, the other one. It is required that all parts of transmission machinery, such as belts, shafts, chains, toothed wheels, etc. They are the moving parts, belts, shafts, chains, should be securely fenced. So in transmission machinery, all moving parts should be securely fenced. Then section 19. It is required that all dangerous parts of other machinery, now we have discussed prime mover, then transmission machinery, then we'll come to dangerous parts. It is required that all dangerous parts of other machinery should be securely fenced so as to be safe to all persons employed or working in the factory premises. All moving and dangerous parts of machinery should be securely fenced so as to be safe to all persons' employment. That is very important. Now what is the dangerous part? The term dangerous part has not been defined in the ordinance. So under the Factories Ordinance, it has not been defined. And the only guidance in this regard appears in case law, which interprets dangerous part as, in bold letters it is mentioned, in case law, a part of a machine is said to be dangerous if it is reasonably foreseeable cause of injury to any person, acting in a manner reasonably expected of a human being to act in circumstances that may reasonably expected to occur. So it gives a general description about the dangerous parts. However, if a dangerous part of any machine cannot, by reason of the nature of the operation, be secured by means of a fixed guard, the requirement of fencing is deemed to have been complied with if a device is provided with automatically prevents operator coming into contact with that part. So that depend on place to place and according to the different kind situations. So be secured by means of a fixed guard that the requirement of fencing is deemed to have been complied with if a device is provided with automatically prevents operator coming into contact with the part. So that is the other machinery. A woman or a young person between 14 and 15 should not be permitted to clean any machine while it is in motion. Then we will come to the lifting equipment. As engineers, you can see a lot of lifting equipment available in your organizations. Hoists, lifts, chains, ropes, and lifting tackle. Lifting equipment should be periodically examined by a competent person. What do you mean by the competent person? Is a person who is knowledgeable about these activities and rules according to the factories ordinance. So These competent office persons, I will explain later. They have to get the permission from the Department of Labor, satisfying that they are competent for testing equipment. So all these lifting equipment should be periodically examined. Hoists and lifts should be thoroughly examined once in every 12 months. So hoists and lifts should be examined once in every 12 months and give a certificate by that particular competent person. Report saying that all equipment, all hoists and lifts are safe in working condition. Whereas chains, ropes and other lifting tackle should be so examined once in every 6 months. So hoist and lift once in every 12 months. Chain, rope and other lifting tackle should be once in every 6 months has to be tested and give a certificate by a competent person. Hoist. Every hoist or lift shall be of good mechanical construction, sound material and adequate strength. Safety weight has to be indicated. If it is to be used to carry people, safe entrance and safe exit method shall be available. Entrance and exit method shall be safe. Safety locking mechanism for doors should be installed. Safety locking mechanism for hoists. All these items are covered under section 27 of the factories ordinance. Then we will come to chain, rope and lifting tackle again. No chain or lifting tackle shall be used unless it is of good construction, sound material and adequate strength. No chain, rope or lifting tackle shall be used for any load exceeding the safe working load. You can't exceed the safe working load. And it should be checked every 6 months by a competent person, as I mentioned earlier. All these sections are covered under section 28 of the factories ordinance. Now we will come to pressure vessels. Safe pressure has to be indicated in the vessel. That is very important. Safety valve should be installed to the vessel. Pressure gauge has to be fitted to the pressure vessel. These things are very important in considering pressure vessels. Testing hole to be provided to inspect the inside of the vessel and for cleaning purposes, there should be a testing hole provided in the pressure vessel. Test for pressure vessels. For steel or non-ferrous pressure vessels, testing pressure P should be equal to 1.5 times the maximum allowable working pressure. So MAWP, maximum allowable working pressure. So testing pressure should be 1.5 times the allowable working pressure. That is for steel and non-ferrous pressure vessels. For cast iron pressure vessels, there are two cases. In case of maximum allowable working pressure is less than 1 kilogram per centimeter squared, the testing pressure should be 2 times of that, that is 2 kilograms per centimeter squared. In case of maximum allowable working pressure is greater than 1 kilogram per centimeter squared, then the testing pressure should be 2 times that value, MAWP. Then we will see the other conditions of boilers and air receivers. Boilers, air receivers and other pressure vessels These vessels should be examined by periodically by an authorized person, as I told you earlier, in accordance with the following time schedule. Boilers once in every 12 months. Gas receivers, again by a competent person, once in every 12 months. Air receivers, again, once in every 24 months. Steam receivers, once in every 24 months. These are laid down in the factory's ordinance regulations. And these vessels should have pressure gauges, safety valves, draining devices, etc. attached to them. These things are very important. Then you can see a cross-section of a fire tube boiler. If you refer all these boiler catalogs, you can see this draft sketch. So it gives fire tube boiler. You can see at the very bottom අලු ලිප කියලා තියෙනවා. ඒකට වතුර blow down valve එකෙන් තියෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ ඒකට එතන ගින්දර ගිනි ඇවිලෙන ලිප තියෙනවා. ඒකෙන් ෆයර් උත්පාදනය කළා ෆයර් ටියුබ් බොයිලර්. ඊට පස්සේ ඒ වතුර මැදින් ඒ ටියුබ්ස් ටික තියෙනවා. ගිනි බට කියලා තියෙනවා. Fire bricks වටේට අල්ලලා තියෙනවා. ඒ ගිනි බට අස්සෙන් you can see the fire goes through the tubes and water again and goes in the chimney, and the water evaporates and get the gas. බොයිලරුවට වතුර සපයන බටය තියෙනවා. Any pressure vessel book, boiler book, you can see this type of fire tube boiler. And I think this lecture PowerPoint presentation, I have given it to the IESL. I think they will put it in their website, or I think YouTube. They will put it, you can refer it later after the lecture. Under the Factories Ordinance 1942, number 45, as I mentioned earlier, if a boiler is transported or shifted to another place, it should be tested and certified again. So when a boiler is transported or shifted to from one working place to another working place, then again this boiler should be tested by a competent person. And again, after major repairs, it should be tested and certified on completion. When major repairs has been completed, again, it should be tested and certified. Steam boiler attendance certificate of competence. So every boiler should have a boiler attendance person. So boiler attendance certificate of competence. It gives details under the factory's regulation. As I told you earlier, under the factory's ordinance, there are so many regulations issued from time to time. So, factory's regulation number 1965 and published in Ceylon Government Gazette number 14,495, dated 3rd September in 1965. So, this particular regulation covers this boiler attendant certificate details. Class 3, that is the minimum level. Class 3 boiler attendant person has to be there up to steaming capacity of 2,000 pounds per hour. Up to steaming capacity 2,000 pounds per hour. So class 3 boiler attendant should be available. Then 1 year experience as a foreman or assistant to a certificate boiler attendant. That is class 3. Then we will see the other one, class 2. Class 2 level, higher than the class 3 level, up to steaming capacity of 6,000 pounds per hour. That is the capacity of the boiler, up to steaming capacity 6,000. Then number 2 must have 3 years experience in attending to a boiler. So that person, senior person, has to get 3 years experience in attending to a boiler. Then these are in addition to conditions for class 3 certificates. So in addition to class 3 qualification, this 1, 2, 3 has to be obtained. Class 1, up to steaming capacity above 6,000 pounds per hour boiler. Must have 6 years experience in attending to boiler. And this is in addition to conditions stated for class 2 boiler attendant. Boiler explosion causes. We will see what are the explosion causes of a boiler. Inoperating safety valve. Inoperative safety valve. Low water in the boiler. Then scale deposits too high. When we operate the boilers, the scales are deposited in the boiler. So this scale deposits we have to remove from time to time for maintenance work. So scale deposits are too high, then there may be explosion. Oil in the boiler water. Corroded or thinner part of the plate, boiler plates. Then cracks in the boiler. Improper repairs. These 7 conditions we have to be very careful. Safety valve could be adjusted to plus 10% of the market pressure. Boiler operators notes. Test safety valve monthly for its performance. So boiler operators have to be very careful about these activities, and he should be aware of these things. Number 2, blow down frequently to clean interior of the boiler. So we have to blow down the boiler frequently for interior repairs of the boiler. Number 3, see adequate lights are there at switchboards, panel boards, water gauge, pressure gauge, temperature meters, and all other important places. Adequate light should be available to see all these things, switchboards, panel boards, etc. Do not depend on fully automatic devices since they may fail. Test all automatic devices periodically. Then clean the boiler and keep it neat. Check the flame and flue gases at the chimney. It should be light brown color. Check temperature, stack chimney. Check the feed water. Clean filters periodically. When switching off the boiler, water at its maximum level. Essential features of the good boiler. Number 1, the boiler should be light in weight, compact, and should use less space. Number 2, it should allow easy, cheap, and quick maintenance work. These are essential features of a good boiler. It should be capable of starting very quickly. Number 4, it should be capable of accommodating large variations of loads. Number 5, in a boiler, the velocity of water and flue gas should be minimized after they overcome heavy frictional losses. All the joints and fittings of a boiler should be easily accessible. Number 7, water scaling and soot should not collect in an on its tubes. Scaling should be removed from time to time. Safe means of access and safe place of employment. Safe means of access to the place of work should be provided and maintained according to the factory's ordinance regulations. If a person is liable to fall from a height of more than 6 feet, especially in construction sites, means should be provided to ensure his safety, such as by the provision of safety belts, nets, etc. You can see in construction sites, all these safety nets are available because the people, they are working more than 6 feet. No person should be permitted to enter a confined space unless steps are taken to remove any fumes, toxic or irrespirable gases. Persons entering such spaces should wear breathing apparatus and be provided with a lifeline. විශේෂයෙන් ඔය පතල් වල මිනිරන් පතල් වගේ වෙයි වැඩ කරන ඒවා ගැන විශේෂයෙන් සැලකිලිමත් වෙන්න ඕන. Occupational health. වෘත්තීය සෞඛ්‍ය, occupational health. A close relationship exists between man's work and his health. It is possible to recognize four important relationships. What is that? Number one, work can give rise to diseases. Work can exacerbate existing diseases. Illness may affect a worker's ability to work safely and efficiently, and work promotes health. These are very important activities for function of occupational health. Many diseases arise from exposure of workers to various environmental hazards, physical, chemical, biological, and psychological. Some diseases are made worse by certain types of work. For example, workers with chronic lung diseases, such as chronic bronchitis, experience worsening of their illness if they exposed to work very dusty environment. Then standing for long periods at work can aggravate existing varicose veins. The knowledge of the nature of work to be undertaken by a prospective employee is thus extreme importance for placing him, particularly if he has some disability, in a job best suited to him. People who suffer from certain illnesses are unsuitable for employment in certain types of work, as they may not be able to perform such jobs efficiently and safely. Such persons may not only expose themselves to danger, but may, in certain situations, be a danger to others working in the organization. It is well known that persons suffering from red-green color blindness are unsuitable for employment as train drivers, and good visual acuity is essential for driving any type of vehicle. Deaf persons are unsuited for jobs where communication is important, and also in workplace where it is necessary to recognize auditory alarm signals. A pre-employment medical examination will assist in the proper selection of persons and should be mandatory in work which is dangerous or unsafe. Most people gain a sense of satisfaction by working. That is a normal behavior. It has been observed that when work is satisfying, there is an improvement in a worker's health. So, this is very important. Work that does not satisfy or unemployment will conversely lead to poor health in general practice. It has been found that the health of retired persons who have enjoyed good health throughout their working life deteriorate rapidly if they are not usually employed in some activity. රිටයර් වුණාට පස්සේ මොකක් හරි වැඩක යෙදෙන්න කියලා තියෙනවා. නැත්තම් රිටයර් වුණාට පස්සේ හෙල්ත් කන්ඩිෂන් එක අඩු වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Certain special problems in common with other developing countries occur in Sri Lanka. In tropical countries, heat is a problem experienced in many working situations, including working outdoors. Many workers suffer from discomfort and fatigue, and some experience heat cramps and heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Certain materials and processes which are found in Sri Lanka have not been adequately studied. Many vegetable dusts, such as rice husk, veepotu, coconut husk, chili powder, and tea fluff, the adverse effects about which little information is available need further study. With changing technology, modern machines and processors are introduced, replacing old technology with new. From time to time, new technology comes and new methods will appear. In agriculture, tractors and other machinery as well as fertilizers and pesticides are being used, exposing farmers to new hazards. Stonemasons now use electric grinders and polishers instead of the hammer and chisel, producing fine particles of silica, which are easily inhaled. So we have to be very careful with this introduction of new equipment and other things. Divers are now able to use supportive gear and dive deeper, exposing themselves to greater risk. Rapid industrialization and agricultural development has brought about large-scale migrants of population, causing social dislocation, poor living conditions, and an increased incidence of communicable and social diseases. Undertrained workers are often employed in skilled jobs and experience more accidents. In order to achieve the aims of occupational health, many countries have encouraged the establishment of occupational health services for workers. In certain organizations, they have established occupational health services to assist workers in the organization, giving advices regarding all these matters. There's no legal provision in Sri Lanka to compel employers to provide occupational health services for workers. Enlightened employers, both in the public and private sector, provide well-staffed occupational health services. Some important functions of an occupational health service are described as given below. Placing people in suitable jobs. This activity includes pre-employment medical examinations and post-sickness medical examinations to determine fitness to work. Next, providing treatment services, early treatment of injuries, poisoning, and illness will prevent complications and assist rehabilitation. Controlling hazards in the work environment. Many hazards are already known and adequate precautions should be taken to ensure the safety of workers from being exposed to undue risks. Avoiding potential risks. It involves participation of the occupational health staff in the planning, designing stage of a new plant to ensure freedom from risks and ensuring the installation. So before installing any new machinery, so participation of the health staff for designing stage for new plant to ensure freedom from risks. Supervision of vulnerable groups. These groups include the young who may need initial support during acclimatization to the new environment. Especially the young people has to be trained regarding these health activities and diseases. Educating workers and management and providing counseling. The workplace provides excellent opportunities not only for education of workers in occupational health and safety practices, but also on general health topics. Supervision of sanitary and welfare facilities. That's also very important in organizations and factories and construction sites. It includes the supervision of sanitary and washing facilities. That all these details of these facilities will be explained in later. To ascertain whether adequate numbers are provided and whether they are maintained in good condition. The supervision of catering facilities as well. Prevention of environmental pollution outside the workplace. The environment within the workplace is the responsibility of the occupational health staff. But however, they should also ensure the environment outside the premises, both inside and outside the premises, they have to be looked after. Now we will come to the principles of accident prevention, definition of an accident. Definition of an accident. Any unplanned event that resulted in injury, ill health to people, or damage or loss to property, plant, materials, or the environment, or a loss of business opportunity. That gives a definition of an accident. Unplanned event that resulted in injury, ill health to people, or damage or loss to property, plant, material, or the environment, or a loss of business opportunity. Principles of accident prevention. Accident statistical studies, this gives a rough idea. This can be vary from time to time, but it gives some idea about the non-injury, minor and major accidents. In 300 non-injury accidents, then will become to a minor accident. Then again 29 is given, 29 accident, then a major accident will occur from a particular machine or an equipment. It's a give a rough idea. This can be varied from time to time. Principles of accident prevention. There are 3 reasons of accident prevention. These are the 3 important things. Legal reasons. The legal reasons means covered from the accident prevention from the factories ordinance. All this legal part covers from the factories ordinance and the regulations issued from time to time under the ordinance. Then humanitarian reasons, economic reasons. What are the humanitarian reasons? Nobody who goes to work wants to have an accident. As individual managers, we do not want people to suffer ill health or injury on our sites or uh, workplaces. These are the economic reasons. Cost to individual, the company, and to the country. These are the economic reasons. So accident prevention is very important. Cost to the individual, the company, and to the country. Insurance costs. So we have to pay for the insurance costs. Damage to product and material, plant, building, tools, and equipment. Legal costs. So we have to pay for, in certain cases, we have to pay for legal costs also in certain accidents. So accident prevention is very important. Production delays. Continued. These are again economic reasons. Overtime working. Investigation time. When there's an accident, then again, we have to investigate the activity in accident. So in investigation time, say economic reason. Supervisor's time diverted. Clerical effects. All these things have to be recorded. Later I will explain how you record all these accidents and all these details. Loss of expertise and experience. Components of an accident. Pre-accident, the accident, the results of the accident. Principles of accident prevention. Again, you can see the diagram. Unsafe working conditions, unsafe acts of persons, causes of accidents. Unsafe work conditions and unsafe acts of persons, causes accident. Unsafe acts, what are these? Working without authority. There are certain machines, experienced persons have to operate, but in certain cases, there are some people working without the authority of the higher management. So these unsafe acts. Failure to warn others of a danger. Leaving equipment in a dangerous condition. Misusing equipment, wrong speeds, etc. Disconnecting safety devices such as guards. Using non-defective equipment. using equipment the wrong way or for wrong tasks. So, as engineers, you can see all these unsafe acts. So, we have to be very careful about these things. Failure to use or wear personal protective equipment. That is very important. We can see in certain cases we don't wear protective equipment. So all these covers under the unsafe acts. Bad loading of vehicles. Failure to lift loads correctly, mechanically and physically. Being in an unauthorized place. Unauthorized servicing and maintaining of moving equipment. Unsafe acts. Horseplay. Smoking in areas where it is prohibited. Drinking alcohol or taking non-prescribed drugs. These are unsafe acts. Unsafe conditions. Inadequate or missing guards to machines. I explained it earlier, section 17 and 18 and 19 of the Factories Ordinance, guarding of machinery, prime movers, transmission machinery, and other machinery. So inadequate or missing guards to machines can be unsafe conditions. Excessive heat or cold. Defective tools. Fire hazards. Ineffective housekeeping. Hazardous atmosphere. Excessive noise levels. Exposure to radiation. Inadequate illumination or ventilation. What can we do to prevent accidents? Principles of accident prevention. An essential first step. Risk assessment. So, in the first step, we have to measure the risks of particular machines or the activities of the factories. Identify the hazards. Identify those who may be affected. Identify the risks. Eliminate risks or substitute. Control the risks. Record and review. So this risk assessment is very important in accident prevention activities. So that is very, identify the hazards, identify those who may be affected, identify the risks, eliminate risks or substitute, control the risks, and record and review. Then the second step is method statement. We have to prepare the method statement after analyzing the risks. All operations requiring method statements must have them. All method statements must be approved by a competent person. Method statements must be understood by the personnel undertaking the work. These statements should be explained to the people and must be understood by the personnel undertaking the work. Method statements must be followed. Random checks made to ensure the compliance. So once method statements have been prepared, so this random method statement should be followed, and random checks whether workers or the people in the organization, whether they follow the rules. Random checks should be done. Safety inspections. What is the purpose of an inspection and who could do it? Safety inspections. What is the purpose? Ensure compliance with the law. Law means the guidelines, regulations issued by the factories ordinance for to cover safety, health and welfare. Ensure all are working safely within a safe place of work. Hazard spotting. Safety inspections. Who could do it? Senior management, contractors management in construction sites and other places, same safety advisors in certain organization. They appoint safety advisors for certain activities. Enforcing authorities, external consultants, insurers, plant inspectors, etc. Safety inspections, who could do it? You, as engineers in charge of factories, construction sites, you all have to do the safety inspections. Principles of accident prevention. Accident prevention through information, instruction, training, and supervision. So these four things are very essential. We get the information, then instruction. From the information, we have to give the instructions. Then from the instructions, you have to do the training of people for accident prevention. Then after training, you have to supervise from time to time whether they follow the instructions or whether they carry out the rules. Then we will come to the accident reporting. In the factories ordinance in section 61, it gives accident reporting details under the section 61. Sorry. Where any accident occurs in a factory or a construction site, which either, number one, causes loss of life to a person employed, or disables any such person for more than 7 days from earning wages at the work at which he was employed, 1 and 2, written notice of the accident in such form and accompanied by such particulars should be sent to the district factory inspecting engineer. That is under the Department of Labor, Factories Division. There are, I will explain later, the organization of the Factories Division. District factory inspectors have been appointed from two districts. So, written notice of the accident about either one or two loss of life or disables any such person for more than 7 days from earning wages. Written notice of the accident in such form or and accompanied by such particulars, medical reports and various other things, should be sent to the district factory inspecting engineer according to the law. In this case, form number 10 has been introduced for this purpose. The form number 10 gives in the regulations, and you can get the form number 10 from the Department of Labor, district officers and other places. Accident reporting, prevention, investigation, trends, costs, research, enforcement, and future legislation. So accident reporting is very essential to cover all these things, prevention of accident and for investigation purposes. And when we analyze accidents reports, we can see the trend of a particular accident. Then we can calculate the cost which happens in the accident. And there are some research. If you want, you can do some research activities regarding this accident reporting method. Then enforcement means again by introducing a new regulation or other law by the factories division and future legislation. Review of policies and procedures. From time to time, we can review the policies considering the current situation. Accident book. Every accident involving personal injury to an employee must be entered in an accident book by either the employee or someone acting on behalf of the employee. So in a factory or a construction site, accident books should be available according to the law. So accident, it has to, all these personal injury details of an employee must be entered in this accident book. So from time to time, this Department of Labor officials will come to factories and inspect these things and the sites. Accident book. The accident book must be kept accessible and its location known to all employees. Notification of occupational diseases. Every registered medical practitioner attending on a patient whom he believes to be suffering from notifiable industrial diseases should give written notice to Chief Factory Inspecting Engineer. Again, in the regulations issued by the Department of Labor, it gives the details of notifiable industrial diseases. You can refer them later. So every registered medical practitioner attending on a patient whom he believes to be suffering from notifiable industrial diseases should give written notice to the Chief Factory Inspecting Engineer. Then inquest into deaths, inquiries of sudden deaths, holding inquiries into deaths resulting from factory accidents. මරණ පරීක්ෂකවරු මරණ පරීක්ෂණයේ තියෙනවා හදිසි ෆැක්ටරි එක කෙනෙක් මිය ගියාම so deaths is resulting from factory accidents or notifiable industrial diseases should ensure that a factory inspecting engineer is present at the inquiry to watch the proceedings. කර්මාන්තශාලා ඉංජිනේරු කර්මාන්තශාලා පරීක්ෂක ඉංජිනේරු මහත්මයෙක් ඒ තැන්වලට ඉන්න ඕනේ මරණ පරීක්ෂණය කරනකොට නැත්තම් ඒ ෆැක්ටරි ඇක්සිඩන්ට්ස් එකක් වුණාම ඒ ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රියල් ඩිසීසස් තියෙන අවස්ථාවලදී ඒ පරීක්ෂණ සඳහා notification of accidents. When any accident occurs in a factory which causes loss of life to person employed, disabled any such person for more than 3 days from earning full wages, makes any such person unconscious due to heat, exhaustion, electric or inhalation of irrespirable gases or fumes. Written notice of the accident should be sent forth to the district factory inspecting engineer. Now we will come to another section, waste management. Today, Sri Lanka is facing the same problem of rapid industrialization and urbanization, both of which, if not adequately controlled, would lead to a pollution problem. This situation is further aggravated by the fact that Sri Lanka lacks the necessary financial resources for prevention of pollution. In Sri Lanka, most industries, both small and large, discharge their waste to the general environment with little regard to the community at large. හුඟක් ආයතනවල දකින්න පුළුවන් waste එක අනවශ්‍ය විදියට discharge කරනවා පරිසරයට මුදා හරිනවා. Industrial waste includes raw materials, discarded factory products, intermediate products, packaging materials, sludge from treatment plants, wastes from factory canteens, waste from factory canteens. කෑම ජාති ඔක්කොම බැහැර කරනවා අපද්‍රව්‍ය ඔක්කොම. And may exist in the form of gas, liquid or solid. ඔය කාරණා තුනෙන් එක්ක gas, එක්ක liquid, එක්ක solid පිට කරනවා waste. We will now look at the various methods available for purification treatment of air, water, and solids in industry. The first step of the management of industrial waste is to minimize the generation of it. Processes could be altered or modernized to achieve this. The next step would be to substitute toxic raw materials. Recovery of materials from wastes for reuse is another approach to be considered. One man's waste may be another's raw material. එක ආයතනයකින් වෙන අපද්‍රව්‍යයක් සමහරක් ආයතනවලට raw material හැටියට ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන අවස්ථා තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. Therefore, inter-industry coordination ආයතන අතර සම්බන්ධතාවයක් පවත්වාගෙන යනවා නම් හොඳයි කියලා කියනවා. Dry fabric dust collector. These probably form the largest single group of air cleaning devices in this field and are known variously as dust collector, bag filters, bag houses, etc. Basically, they all employ a fabric filter. Some sort of fabric is used as a filter to arrest dust or fume. They are able to cope with heavy dust burdens and a wide range of particle sizes at high efficiency. Dust ඉවත් කරගන්න. A correctly rated fabric can achieve an overall efficiency of 99.8, the average figure. The fabric dust collector must be self-cleaning, that is able to shed the dust burden collected by either manual or automatic activation of a cleaning mechanism and then continue in operation. You can see a lot of textbooks giving details of these dry fabric dust collectors later. In most designs, the fabric filter is arranged as tubs, bags, or envelopes mounted on supporting frames so as to form a permeable division between clean and dirty sides. The dust-laden air enters from below, passes upward through a fabric filter, and the clean air leaves via the discharge dust at the top. The dust, which could be shaken off, collects at the bottom. The common cleaning system in an intermittently functioning mechanical device which vigorously shakes the top of the filter bags. Different fabrics such as cotton, wool, nylon, and ethylene are used depending on the properties of the dust or fume. Then wet collector. The basic principle of the wet collector is to bring the contaminant into intimate contact with water so that it is more rapidly extracted from the airstream and is absorbed directly into a water mass. Wet collectors are able to deal with both particulate and gaseous contaminants and with hot or corrosive air streams. The two common wet collectors in use are the Venturi scrubber and the self-induced spray wet collector. Again, wet collector, you can go through some textbooks. It gives details with diagrams. Water. Every workplace discharges a certain volume of effluent water, but water out of the premises. Some industries may discharge relatively harmless effluent where, as in some cases, it may contain highly toxic chemicals. Chemicals are mixed with water. There are a large number of physical and chemical methods available for treatment of effluent water. One method is sedimentation. The principle of density difference is used here for gravity settling. The method is cheap and commonly used in Sri Lanka. The effluent water is collected in settling tanks and the solute particles settle at the bottom, leaving the clear liquid at the top of the vessel. The sludge which builds up at the base has to be removed regularly and further treated if necessary before disposal. Flotation. In the process of substances which floats to the top of the settling tank are removed using a skimming apparatus. An example is grease in water. For particles which do not readily float, the dissolved air flotation method may be used. In this method, the tank containing wastewater is pressurized. After sufficient time is allowed for air to dissolve, the pressure is released and the air now comes out solution. Filtration. This is a process which separation of the pollutant is accomplished by the size difference of the particles. The effluent water is forced through a porous medium which results in a retention of particles in the medium. Three types of media that could be used are beds, It is sands and asbestos, mesh screen or fabric, perforated surfaces, certain membranes. Solid. Solid waste in industry may consist of unused raw materials, damaged final products, byproduct, packaging materials, left over food, etc. Minimizing the generation of such waste should be the first line of action. Incineration. An ancient disposal of technique for getting rid of waste is to burn it. Incineration. While solving one problem creates others. They are air pollution due to smoke and unburned remains which have to be disposed of by another means. Landfill. This is also a very ancient means of disposing solid waste. The solid waste is spread layers and then compacted with bulldozers before another layer is spread. After the waste is about 3 meters deep, it is covered by a layer of and compacted again. We will come to another section, fire. Fire is the result of a combination in suitable proportions of a fuel, oxygen, and an initial source of heat. This combination is a chemical reaction in which a heated substance combines with oxygen to produce heat, light, smoke, and toxic gases. The reaction involves both heat consumption and heat production, with a net production of heat. Products of combustions. The application of heat to solids and liquids produces vapors at their surfaces which ultimately mix with air to cause a fire. During combustion, in addition to heat, new molecules are also formed. These are called the products of combustion. Complete combustion can occur in very hot, well-ventilated fire. In this situation, carbon dioxide and steam are formed from the oxidation of carbon and hydrogen respectively. Oxides of various other elements such as sulfur and nitrogen are also formed. Toxic substances can also be produced in some fires. Hydrogen cyanide can be formed from burning of wool and silk. Acetic acid from timber and paper. And carbon monoxide from incomplete combustion of carbonaceous material. Ignition sources. Heat is one of the three factors necessary for combustion. It is readily available in industry from various ignition sources such as electrical apparatus and wiring, sources of static electricity, machinery, grinding, welding and cutting processes, heating and cooking process, matches and lighted cigarettes. Control measures. Fire protection has to be planned at the design stage of buildings, taking into consideration the risks involved in the manufacturing process. High-risk areas should be protected with fire-resistant walls so as to prevent the rapid spread of fires. Fire-resistant doors should also be provided for these areas to isolate them in case of major fires. Where appropriate, inbuilt systems for detecting, controlling, and extinguishing fires could be provided. Fixed automatic devices are available to extinguish fires. Fire extinguishers are installed. These operate automatically in case of fire and sprinkle water or other extinguishing agents. Safe escape routes should be provided, and these should be maintained free of obstructions. Doors should open outwards to enable easy exit in case of fire. There should be good access routes around the building to assist the fire brigade, the hydrants and other facilities for fire fighting should be provided. It is desirable to install fire alarm systems in factories, and all workers should be trained in evacuation procedures by conducting fire drills regularly. So that is very important. So in most organizations, these fire drills, they conduct fire drills and they install fire alarm systems, and workers should be trained from time to time in evacuation procedures. Preventive measures should be considered after thorough study of process, materials, and likely ignition sources. This involves the identification of specific hazard areas, selection and purchasing of appropriated first aid firefighting equipment, and the training of workers employed in these areas to use the equipment correctly. It is also important to establish good housekeeping practices such as proper disposal of waste, regular cleaning of machinery, floors and walls, and the proper storage of materials. Regular inspections to ensure that safety procedures are adhered. Now we will consider another factor, safety in electricity. Electricity is inherently dangerous and like unguarded machinery, fire, steam, etc., has to be treated with respect. What are the causes of electrical accidents? The causes of electrical accident may broadly be classified under three headings. What are these? A. Defective design or construction of apparatus. B. Failure of apparatus due to inefficient maintenance. C. Misuse or maloperation of sound apparatus due to failure of personnel or management or misapplications. These three things causes of electrical accidents. An analysis of the causes of electrical accidents gave following figures. Again, these are average figures. This can be varied from time to time. You can get rough an idea about this. The defects in design or material, nearly 16%. Sound apparatus ill-maintained, 9% of accidents. Unknown causes, maybe 5%. Taking unnecessary risks or failing to utilize the means provide for safety, 70%. So you can see 70, the largest figure, taking unnecessary risks or failing to utilize the means provide for safety. Personal failure, accidental slipping over of a screwdriver can create flash. Management too can contribute to these errors by wrong selection or application of apparatus, failure to provide safe conditions for maintenance, poor selection of staff, overloading the system, lack of supervision, lack of proper training, equipment. Hazards of electricity. Dangers to be considered in the use of electricity are of two types. What are they? Personal injury and damage to property. What is personal injury? Personal injuries may be caused by, you all know, electric shock, electric burn, and see arc eye. What is electric shock? Falls from roofs, cuts, dropping of tools, injury from damage to nerve issues, death from fibrillation of the heart, death due to asphyxiation. Physical injury from violent muscular contraction. Electric burns. Generally speaking, an electrical burn penetrates deeply and may take a long time healing. Through the appearance of superficial damage may be slight. Direct current burns tend to be more acute than alternating current burns due to the fact that the DC arc is more persistent than the AC arc, which latter tends to extinguish more easily at the moment when current passes through 0 volts. Burns are invariably associated with physical shock, and great care is necessary in their treatment. Arc eye. This is caused by ultraviolet rays from an electric arc, for instance in arc welding, reaching unprotected eyes. The condition is very painful, causing temporary loss of sight. The victim feels as if there are sand particles in his eye. The only way in which the arc eye can be prevented is to wear eye protection of the correct type and to do welding in screened off areas. Electrical safety. So far, we have been considering the dangers associated with the use of electricity. There are a few principles which, if followed, will make electricity a good servant and not a bad master. The principles used in making electrical conductors safe are to guard them electrically and mechanically, to make them inaccessible, to install, operate, and maintain them in a proper manner, to make them dead, to energize them at low voltage. We will see what are these things. To guard them electrically and mechanically, electrical guarding is achieved by covering the conductor with an insulator that you all must know, such as rubber, plastic, oil, impregnated paper, linen, glass, porcelain, etc. It is electrical guarding by covering the conductor. Mechanical guarding of the insulated conductor is done various ways and can be in the form of soft metal tubes extruded over the insulated conductors, or fixed tubes through which the insulated wires were drawn, or in the form of steel armored wires or tapes. To make them inaccessible, bare conductors may be fixed on porcelain or other insulators, which in turn can be supported above. To install, operate, and maintain in proper manner. It means the circuits and apparatus must be designed, erected, and maintained by qualified and competent persons in conformity with the best current practices, and that the operators are trained in their work. To make them dead. What does that mean? This is done by using circuit breakers, isolating switches. Conductors may also be made dead automatically on the occasion of a fault by means or fuses or circuit breakers to energize at low voltage. It means if the voltage is reduced, then the current also get reduced. In the case of portable electric equipment, work in confined places, it is better to use low voltage. Now we will come to another section, safety in construction industry. Construction sites can be divided into two categories. You can see buildings, houses, hotels, schools, factories. Number two, civil engineering sites, roads, dams, bridges, power stations, etc. It is observed that occur more accidents in construction site when compared to factories due to the following reason. Number one, frequent change of work sites. So work sites are changed from time to time, from place to place. So frequent change may occur accidents. Lack of disciplinary control, lack of planning. Then number three, subcontracting of work. They do not give much attention to safety rules. The main contractor awards to various subcontractors, and subcontractors are not interested about the safety of their workers. Lack of allocating funds for safety equipment. Engage unskilled workers for low wages. That is very common in various construction sites. Lack of proper coordination among different categories of work groups. Example, barbenders, masons, carpenters, electricians, etc. To face different weather conditions, rain and sunshine. You all are very familiar about all these conditions. Safety procedures implementation. To prepare a comprehensive work plan at the beginning of work with the help of architects, design engineers, site engineers, technical officers, site supervisors, etc. Have a discussion and discuss details before starting the work. Safety precautions to prevent collapsing of walls during excavation of soil, to provide sufficient air in deep excavation. Safety precautions should be introduced in scaffolding work in high-rise buildings to maintain hoist, chains, ropes, and other lifting equipment regularly. I explained the safety of all these things earlier: hoist, chains, ropes, and other lifting equipment. Inspection of such items should be done periodically, as I explained earlier. Attention should be given for safety precautions in roof construction. Proper methods should be adopted in material handling and storage of materials such as steel, pipes, cement, sanitary equipments, etc. Laying electric cables, especially in temporary sheds in work sites, should be carefully done. Handling of explosive materials in road construction sites, underground tunnel construction sites. Special attention should be given to fire safety. Now we will come to another section, important thing in the ordinance, health and welfare. Cleanliness. Every factory should be kept clean and free from efflua. Workspace. Every person working in a factory should be allowed at least 400 cubic feet of free space. For a particular person, minimum working space is 400 cubic feet. In calculating the free space, no space above 14 feet from the floor should be taken into account. So when we calculate the area, square length, breadth, then multiplied by the height. So if we take the height, we have to take the maximum 14 feet and calculate the volume of the particular person. So 400 cubic feet of free space for a particular person to work in a factory. Sanitary conveniences. Sanitary conveniences should be provided and maintained in all factories as follows. This gives the under the regulations of the factories ordinance for up to 100 persons, one for every 25 persons. So up to 100%, four toilets should be available. That is separately for male and female separately. From 100 to 500, one for every 40 persons. So from up to 500, up to 100 persons, one for every 25. More than 100 and up to 500 people, one for every 40 persons. Over 500 persons, one for every 60 persons. Separate facilities should be provided for males and females. Wholesome drinking water should be provided to workers, except when water is delivered from an upward jet. Cups or drinking vessels should be provided at each point of supply, along with facilities for rinsing them. Adequate and suitable accommodation should be provided for clothing not worn during working hours. Separate space should be available for men and women. So adequate and suitable for clothing not worn during working hours. Female workers should be provided with facilities for resting to enable them to rest during the course of their employment. First, every factory should have first aid. Every factory should have a first aid box or cupboard. Contents as specified in the regulations. And trained first aiders on every work shift. The management has to train certain people to provide first aid facilities to workers. It is important to ensure that a sufficient number of workers are trained in first aid. Meal rooms. Meal rooms which could accommodate at least one-third, nearly 30% of the total workforce at any time, any one time should be provided. මුළු සේවක සංඛ්‍යාවෙන් දල වශයෙන් 3න් 1කට කෑම ගන්න පුළුවන් ඉඩ ප්‍රමාණයක් තියෙන meal rooms වල. When in any room lead, arsenic or other poisonous substance is used, no person should be permitted to partake of food or drink or remain in such room during intervals allowed for meals or rest. Notification of occupational diseases, I think I have mentioned earlier. So every registered medical practitioner attending on a patient whom he believes to be suffering from a notifiable industrial disease should give written to notice to the factory inspecting engineer. I have mentioned earlier also. There shall be kept in every factory or in such place outside the factory as may approved by the factory inspecting engineer, a register called a general register. The following details have to be entered. General register කියලා එකක් maintain කරන්න ඕන. ආයතනවල කර්මාන්තශාලා ආඥාපනත යටතේ. All reports and particulars required by the provisions of the factories ordinance to be entered in or attached. Details of accidents and industrial diseases occurring in the factory of which notice is required to be sent to the labor department. Young persons employed in the factory. Such particulars as may be prescribed as to the washing, whitewashing or color washing, painting or varnishing of the factory. All these things should be entered in the general register, should be available in the factories. Now I will explain about I told you earlier that the factories division of the Department of Labor. In the Department of Labor, there's a separate division called the Factories Division. All the officers are engineers working in the Factories Division, civil, mechanical, and electrical engineers working. Enforcement of the Factories Ordinance to ensure safety, health, and welfare of workers in factories through following activities. These are the activities to cover in the division. Enforcement and implementation of factories ordinance, inspection of factories, approval of building plans, attend coroner's court to give expert evidence. මරණ පරීක්ෂණ හදිසි මරණ පරීක්ෂණවලදී සේවකයෙක් මිය ගියහම coroner's court වලදී ඒවට උපදෙස් දෙන්න. Investigation of complaints, investigation of accidents, institute legal actions, conduct safety awareness programs to prevent accidents, analysis of accidents, appointment of authorized officers. I have mentioned earlier the Department of Factories Division, they will appoint experienced people as authorized officers. As engineers, you all can apply to the Factories Division to be appointed as authorized officers. There's an interview once you apply to the Factories Division. Department of Factories Division, the Chief Factory Inspecting Engineer will call you for an interview whether you are appointed as an authorized officers. Issue of certificates under the Factories Ordinance, making of safety posters, leaflets, and short films. The other important activities, advisory services for improvement of work environment in factories, participation in national committees with regard to occupational safety and health, safety auditing of factories, preparation of curriculum on safety, health, and welfare for educational institutions such as Construction Industry Development Authority, National Apprentice and Industrial Training Authority, NAITA, National Institute of Business Management, National Institute of Plantation Management. All these organizations, when they prepare curriculum on safety, health, and welfare, they invite officials from the factories divisions to participate to prepare these syllabuses and for upgrading syllabuses, etc. And the other thing in the factories division, Chief Factory Inspecting Engineer is the head of the division. Then under him, District Factory Inspecting Engineers cover all districts. Then under the District Factory Inspecting Engineer, normal FIE, Factory Inspecting Engineers are working in all three fields, civil, mechanical, and electrical. So these are the existing legislation. Factories Ordinance, as I mentioned earlier, number 45 of 1942. There are amendments, Factories Amendment Ordinance number 22 of 1946, Amendment number 54 of 1961, Amendment Law number 12 of 1976, Amendment Act number 18 of 1998, Act number 33 of 2000, Act number 19 of 2002. In addition to the above, following regulations are also in effective factories. Number one, regulation in 1960. Regulation, I told you, these regulations are prepared under the ordinance. Sanitary convenience, 1965. Dangerous occurrences notification, 1965. Washing facilities general, 1965. Standards of lighting, regulation, 1965. Meal room regulations, 1965. Steam boiler attendant certificates competency, 1965. Industrial diseases, 72. Protection of ice, 79. First aid regulations, 1995. There are so many other regulations. I think if you are interested, you can visit the factories division office in the Department of Labor, and you can get all these details, and you can meet the district factory inspecting engineer or factory inspecting engineers in your area. You can get the current regulation details from them, giving more details. That's all about the lecture. My email address is given here, ayodhya42@gmail.com. My mobile number is 07775103995. If you have any problems, you can call me at any time. You can send and drop an email to me. And you will I have given all this presentation, PowerPoint presentation to the IESL, and they will put it in the YouTube, sorry, I think YouTube, oh, uh, YouTube. You can refer to them and you can go through all these things, and you can refer to the slides. I am asking questions only from the handout, my handout, not other than the handout එකෙන් පිට මොනවාක්වත් මම ප්‍රශ්න අහන්නේ නැහැ. handout එක හොඳට කියවලා බලා ගන්න ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ විභාගෙට. එහෙනම් එච්චරයි. ලෙක්චර් එක අහගෙන හිටියට ඔයගලන්ට බොහොම ස්තුතියි.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
you,
you.
sir.
Thank you,
Speak soon.
sir.
Thank you. Thank you.